Call of Duty Modern Warfare, we are doing a tips and tricks. This is more geared towards newer players to the game, or those coming back after being away from the franchise for a long time. This is focused on what I would say is the competitive multiplayer in the game, as opposed to the ground war mode, which is an entirely different beast altogether. And I might do that one, depending on if people are interested in seeing that one later on. It's just a little bit more different compared to the regular mode. So as you noticed, this is a fast-paced, competitive game. It runs at 60 FPS, and it brings quite a lot of action to it. So a big part of the game are your loadouts. So here you're able to customize what weapons you have, what perks you have, your lethal, your tactical. You can change all of these things. I rock 2 weapons. I like to have the close range MP5, and then I like to switch over to something that's a little bit more medium ranged in the game, because I find that to be very helpful when you are playing. I also like to do what I call a 1-2 kind of combo. So you throw your grenade and then you throw your stun. So that's by having a stun and a grenade. You might choose to do like a flashbang or some other kind of, special assist type weapon. That's entirely up to you. But I like that, by throwing the grenade first and then the stun will land first, stunning the enemy, and then the grenade will finish them off, which is usually effective. I also rock a pretty explosive based thing. So, I guess not necessarily a newer mechanic, but an operator type thing, is you see that LB and RB, this is something that slowly regenerates over the map, and it gives you a special bonus. So you might pick ammo, you might pick say like a shield that you can throw down. And these are options that are available within the game. You kind of choose what you're comfortable with, and you really just have to keep looking and try to find a gun that you enjoy using. Really looking for like a ladder up there. Why is that guy camping all the way on this side of the map? Like this has nothing to do with any of the positions or anything. Anyways, moving past that, you can easily stand up, you can sprint around. I find it's better to kind of be slower. This game does bring back a lot of the kind of corners that you can use, and it has a really neat mechanic where you can aim in and then you can press RS, and that will allow you to peek around corners and fire away at enemies, and then you can break away easier and then mount back in. And it just kind of a cover around corners, very helpful. You can either stand straight up, crouch, or you can go prone, and this is going to make yourself less visible. Some people do what's called drop shotting, which I don't really approve of, and that's where you lay down as you're getting shot in order to fire away. Completely whatever your playstyle is. But yeah, with the corners, you can actually kind of hide around now. You don't have to be forced or funneled into like the middle open like you have been in recent Call of Duties, and that's nice. So another big mechanic are the doors. So you saw me close that there. So you can open them slowly, so if you're playing Search and Destroy, you'll want to do that. But for the most part, in matches, you're best just kind of running right through the doors. The doors will open as you're going through them. And, it's just going to be a better method than slowly opening doors in the game, just kind of bursting through them as like a ram. I thought that'd be helpful because I imagine some people are sitting there and they're kind of slowly opening doors. So another movement mechanic in the game is sort of the slide. So as you're running, you can hold B or platform equivalent, and your character will go into a slide. This is really good if you're getting fired at, because you can slide behind cover, you can slide around corners, and it kind of just gives you a little bit of a tactical advantage when you are trying to move through the map and, trying to be more effective. There are ladders. Ladders are kind of like really deadly to go up because you're vulnerable, as you can see by doing that. So you will have to be careful when you are climbing up ladders, just because it does put you in that state of vulnerability. You'll have to be smart of it. So in the top left, we have a mini-map. You can actually blow that up by pressing the start button or platform equivalent, and then you can see where your teammates are and where shots are being fired. It very much is a helpful tool in the game, unless you're playing like a different mode that disables the mini-map. Then you can't use it, obviously. But if you do have it, take advantage of it. It's very helpful and a big part of the game. You can get all of your details in the bottom right for what you're doing. So if you notice on your weapons, you actually now have firing rates. So you can click like left on the D-pad, and now it's like a single shot MP5 as I'm shooting instead of playing here. And you can switch back and forth between the two based on the firing rate that you want. Again, seeing the little icon in the corner, switching between the two as I use them. And you'll notice that the ammo box I had is now refilled, and you can throw that down again and get more ammo from it. Very helpful. and something to look at. I mean, you can have something else, like I mentioned, aside from ammo, but I choose to use the ammo because it just gives me ammo, and I don't have really anything too good unlocked. So another thing you can edit is your basically your kill streak. So as you get kills, you see it's kind of faded out because I haven't really been killing a lot of people, just been working on talking. But you can actually get that and get different things like choppers or turrets, and it's worth customizing, experimenting, and playing around with that in the menu just to find something you're comfortable with and you enjoy using in matches. Alright, so we're on another map here to show off more. So another important part of the UI is on the top. You see a compass. It's going to give you a key indication of where you're going, what you're doing, and it'll pop up with little bits of information that are kind of helpful. In general, the UI is something that you should look at and pay attention to because it's going to be an asset in your playing. It's going to provide a lot of details and information in regards to enemies and your teammates. So communication is definitely a big part of the game. So I would suggest maybe using a mic. If you're not, and you're using like on a console, you can actually plug in a keyboard and you can type into the game and send messages while still using your controller. You got to remember this is a cross-play game, so it does have support for both. It does do certain locks in regards to allowing you to play on platforms with certain inputs, but using the controller, you can also have a keyboard plugged in to quickly type. And you can do different chat options. You can type just your team, your party, or the overall match too. So that is something to keep in mind. And kind of a fancy feature in this one, in my opinion. So another big part of the game is the fact that these maps, being more realistic, offer varying levels of verticality and just generally options for moving through them. Lots of little hidden spots you can get to. Now this map isn't great for it, but kind of shows off that there is like an upper area that you can get to with a little bit of a vantage point. Now other maps are a little bit better for this because there's a lot of buildings with, say, second level stories, and your enemies aren't necessarily looking for you when you are moving around like that. And it can be a big help in regards to keeping alive, having a better point that you can shoot down from where enemies aren't going to be able to shoot you, and you can rack up those kill streaks by camping it out a bit, which, you know, obviously is something that can be beneficial for your KD ratio if that's something you care about. And don't be afraid to look around on the maps too. A lot of them offer little sneaky areas that you can get to places faster, you can flank. There's just a lot of creativity in the environments in this one because they are supposed to feel a little bit more realistic in their style, which is fantastic in my opinion. I like that a lot. And don't be afraid to keep shooting. You have a full clip. I personally always keep my gun reloaded because you never know when you're going to need to fire more bullets than usual. And, you know, you don't want to be caught in the middle of a reload when you are in a battle, as that can be absolutely devastating. So bullet penetration, that's definitely something here. I suggest crouching if you're seeing somebody shooting through it. Some surfaces you can shoot through. If you see a guy run away around a corner, you know, don't be afraid to put in a couple bullets and see if you can finish them off if you think they're getting away, because you might be able to actually clip them and finish them off, which would be obviously hugely beneficial to your survival and possibly your teammates, keeping them alive by eliminating a threat. So I do suggest playing around with the gunsmith in the game. That's where you're able to customize your gun in multiple different ways. Add things like, say, a red dot. I like to use iron sights. I'm a little bit weirdly hardcore for that. I don't know why. But you can add iron sights, under barrels, but just keep in mind that certain things will either add or subtract to your weapon. Very few of them are just beneficial notes. They actually do alter your guns quite a bit. And there's a whole area there that you really do get to kind of play around with. You can also add like charms and, you know, gun skin colors and stuff like that. And you can actually earn that kind of thing while playing in the game, which is nice and something we haven't seen in a COD title really for a while. I mean, they have basic kind of unlocks, but this one really seems to open it up more with lots of options for unlocking things without having to visit the store or use crates and stuff, which is really nice. Doing a lot better this match, which is better. Don't be afraid to use your corners and to move around them. Again, with the mounting thing, big deal, because I don't see that a lot of people use it. They do a lot of run and gunning, which is good because the COD's about fast-paced movement, but at the same time, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable to people that are playing a little bit more strategic than you. And that really is the beauty of this. You can be as like tactical as you want, or you can run in there and just annihilate people. You got to pick up your strategies and change your strategies accordingly to how others are playing. If your run and gun isn't working, don't be afraid to switch it up and do something, you know, that's a little bit slower, because that might be beneficial for getting kills, and you might be able to throw people off. you know, it's about mixing up, doing different strategies, finding weapons you're comfortable with, and trying to dominate the play, or at least play the objectives, guys. You don't have to be great at the game. It's fine, you know, as long as you're having fun. But definitely put an effort forward in regards to playing the objectives, because that helps out your teammates and helps you win games and get XP and everything within the title too, which is obviously good. Oh, and don't forget to use your special abilities. You might not find them useful at the start, but eventually you will find something that you are finding helpful. And the special abilities are the ammo, like I mentioned. So generally, I hope you found this information to be helpful to a degree in regards to, you know, getting some tips, just understanding how things play. Solid boots on the ground, no weird flying people and stuff like that. Use the environment. There's tons of little spots of cover. You don't really need to ever be in the open unless you're getting to a position faster. And just like this building here, you just get so many little places you can kind of hide a bit if you want to do that. Especially helpful if you're playing something like Search and Destroy, where it's tactical and your lives do matter. But yeah, if we want to do a Ground War one, let me know. But this is generally just looking at the competitive things. And I will say yet again, don't be afraid to pause and take a look at the overall map layout so you understand where you're going, understanding the elevation, and just getting an idea of how the map runs, the flow of it, so that you're not, you know, running against the wall or something like that, not sure where you're headed. And that is mirrored in a smaller style in the top left with the mini-map.